Welcome back, guys. I trust you've been staying safe. Now, riddle me this. What would make a man whose girlfriend is pregnant for him decide that he's going to turn on her after they throw in a party and then unalive her by using a knife 13 times on her? This is the question that is baffling many with the true crime story that I'm bringing you today. And it's an ongoing case coming out of South Africa, off of the African continent, specifically in Durban. Now, the twists in this case are many. And in a way, it seems like this case could be because of one of two possible root causes. And I'm hoping that you can help me find out which is the likely root cause of this gruesome incident. Now, the whole thing happened on the wee hours of the dawn of the 1st of April, or let me say between the time of late night 31st March 2024 into 1st April 2024. Now, the case is between two police officers. Yes, the man is a police officer and the girlfriend, who will end up becoming the victim, is also the police officer. So the man at the center of this is called Constable Sizwe Ngema. Let's just call him Sizwe. Now, Sizwe was dating a colleague of his by name Bianca Khuzwayo. Let's just call her Bianca. So from this point, Sizwe and Bianca are in a dating relationship whilst also working as police officers. Now, it turns out that Bianca is from a very wealthy family, and apparently it's alleged that her dad is one of the top brasses in the police service. So she is from a well-to-do family. I'm unable to ascertain much information about the financial background of Sizwe. But then, these two found love and they were dating. And on the 31st of March 2024, they threw a housewarming party and they invited some friends of theirs. So Sizwe and his girlfriend, Bianca, had this party with their friends. And the party went late into the evening, after which their friends left. Everything seemed rosy, romantic, and normal. But then, something else was cooking, because it turns out that Bianca was pregnant. Actually, it was something they both knew, but a conversation came up after this party between Sizwe and Bianca where it would escalate quickly into a serious dispute, and that is where the whole thing was set off to lead to the ultimate crime being committed in this true crime story, where Bianca now tells Sizwe that she doesn't want to keep the kid. She wants to get rid of the baby. And to this, Sizwe also refused, insisting that he wants to father the kid. So it became a heated argument. Now, in the process of this argument, it is alleged, as per the testimony of Sizwe, that Bianca told him that he shouldn't bother arguing to keep the baby, because it is possible that when the baby is finally born, he might find out that the baby is not even his. And this statement set Sizwe off. And that was where he went for the knife, and the rest is history, ending up using it 13 times on her. And it didn't even end there. When she was going out, after he had done that, and she was just fading out, he took his phone and videoed her taking her last breath, and then he sent the video to their friends and families, after which he took off in his car. Now, the story seems too sketchy to me, it looks like the whole thing escalated too fast. Now, I was trying to understand what would transpire for this to go from a romantic relationship, which had even culminated in day throwing a housewarming party, straight through to this gruesome incident. But then, the question is, why didn't the lady want to keep the pregnancy? There are rumors that her family was against her keeping it, and she herself also didn't want to keep it. But my question is, if this was the case, why didn't you use protection when the two of you got intimate? Unless, of course, she didn't think that a pregnancy will come up, or she was okay keeping the pregnancy at the time, and maybe pressure from the family or somewhere else made her change her mind. And also, there is no record of the fact that maybe there was an attempt by the family to have an amicable conversation with Sizwe, who believes he is the father of the baby yet to be born, on how they want to proceed, looking at the fact that they had opposing stances on what they wanted to do with the baby. Personally, I believe that this case could have been easily avoided. I think that this case came to where it has gotten to because of possibly lack of respect being shown to the father of the baby, and also certain decisions being unilaterally made instead of being made in consensus. Why do I say this? First of all, I think that Bianca could have handled the conversation better. Someone would say, my body, my choice. I understand that bit to an extent, but then if Sizwe is the father, he also has a say in the baby that is to be born. That is what another school of thought would argue, because you didn't make the baby alone. The two of you met and you made the baby. So the decision has to come from both of you. Now, to this effect, Bianca saying that she wants to get rid of the baby actually wouldn't sit right with a man who believes he's the father of the baby and actually wants to keep the baby. That becomes a trigger point depending on who he is, and it's obvious it triggered him. Now, as if that wasn't bad enough, how do you go from that point as Bianca to the point where you are now telling him that he shouldn't fret over you getting rid of the baby, because if he insists that the baby should be kept, he might find out after the baby is born that it's not even his? That is off the charts. I personally believe that you may not agree with people sometimes, but if you look at how strong their emotion is about something, you should respect that emotion and understand that you don't need to understand or agree with them in order to make the issue go. You just rather need to respect their emotion and their stance, and then don't trigger that emotion further. Look at the way of de-escalating that emotion and bringing the conversation back to an objective one. Other than that, you could end up triggering somebody who wouldn't hold back on what he would do as a way of retaliation. And that was exactly what happened here. That was exactly what happened here, because prior to this, there is no record of Sizwe ever being violent on her. So if you say things like this, some people may take it cool, but you better also understand that some people may not. So it's always important you read the person as the conversation progresses and you choose your words carefully. That is not me trying to blame the victim, but trying to put an advice out there that you don't just say something because you want to say it. Look at the people you are talking to, or the person you are talking to, and what you are talking about, and how seriously the person takes it, to the fact that your words can pierce the person. Somebody will talk about self-restraint on the part of the other person. That is a fact. And Sizwe has that responsibility to restrain himself. But then again, I believe in preserving yourself as the one possibly going to trigger somebody, because you wouldn't want to put yourself in a situation where you are waiting to find out how the triggered person is going to act in which cases where some people don't even survive the action they take when they are triggered, as has happened to Bianca. So you are better off being safe than sorry. Just choose your words carefully, manage the conversation, reach an amicable decision, and you move. Instead of saying things without regard to how it may possibly hurt or trigger somebody. Now, the other side of this, which could be the second root cause, as against what Bianca said being actually true, intending that she was cheating on him, could be that Bianca was probably trying to pull an April Fool on him. Because mind you, this was into the hours of 1st of April 2024. So there are some people who are saying that maybe Bianca actually wanted to keep the baby and maybe she wasn't even cheating on him, where she would tell him that he should be careful because the baby might not even be his. And that maybe she said all those things as a way of pulling an April Fool's Day prank on him. Now, to this, I'm like, there is something called an expensive joke. You don't make a joke this expensive, and even if you dared make it, the moment you saw what was going on, you should quickly retract it and reset everything. If you put yourself out there in a joke which makes you appear like a cheat to your partner, whose baby he believes you are carrying, how do you come back from that joke? Now, like I said, this is not me blaming the victim, but this is me trying to objectively analyze the allegations out there. Now, Sizwe was arrested eventually after a hot chase by his own colleague police officers, and then he was detained and made his first appearance in court, and he clearly admitted what he had done and said that he did this because Bianca said she doesn't want to keep the baby, her family doesn't want her to keep it, and that he shouldn't fret over her not keeping it because even if the baby is born, he may end up finding out that the baby is not his. Now, this is not a defense for him. He is going to face the law. But you see, the life of Bianca is also lost. Whether it was an April Fool's prank or that was her actually saying something to get him to lose interest in the baby and how it's going to be handled, or that was her actually saying the truth to him out of anger. Any of the possible reasons as to why she said that still didn't make it right in the eyes of Sizwe, and he got triggered, and the rest is history. It's very unfortunate. RIP to Bianca and the baby. I hope they get the justice they need, but I believe that with some of these cases or cases like these, sometimes with a deliberate management of the conversation, the anger of the other person could have been managed. In as much as everybody is responsible for their actions when they are angry, you also don't want to be caught up in a triggered person's retaliation just because you also didn't choose your words carefully. Because it's an established fact that sometimes before help will come, the person would have acted already, and you don't want to be a victim in such situations, as has happened to Bianca. I believe that whatever it was, be it a prank, the truth, or something she said as a lie to put off Sizwe, she could have handled it differently with her family and with him, and he also could have handled himself better. But at the end of the day, everybody is responsible for their actions. Bianca, mind you, is not here to actually confirm if that was what happened. All this is coming from Sizwe, and we have no way of corroborating that what he's saying is even true. So everything I've said is an allegation, as alleged from Sizwe. And I don't know how the police are going to corroborate all this, but I think the bottom line is going to be the fact that Sizwe is responsible for unaliving two people, that is Bianca and the same kid that he said he wanted to keep. That is where it even makes less sense or it makes more of less sense. If you wanted to keep the baby, then you should have kept the mother alive. You don't unalive the mother and say you want to keep the baby. I think that, well, but it happens. That is how some people get set off the chain. And my advice is, if you're having a conversation with somebody or you are getting into an argument with somebody, please watch the person's emotions. Don't always try to win an argument, especially if it's not worth it and you see tempest rising. Sometimes you should rather focus on de-escalating the issue and finding another way to approach it without tempest flaring. It could end up saving your life. Respect people's emotions. Respect what is important to people, even if you don't understand it, and it might help you live longer. I'll be following this case as and when updates are due. I'll bring you more. Subscribe to the channel if you are yet to do so. Turn on post notifications, and I'll catch you on the next one. See you.